So we are making this little rainbow ornament, and you will have two pieces of fabric in your box, two sections, so you need to cut one off. We're going to keep the bottom bit attached at the moment and put the top bit into your hoop, so tighten it up as well as you can. It's going to be easier to stitch if you get it tight. And we're going to start stitching the middle section, so we're going to go from the inside out, and all you're doing are back stitches in line with the grid. So we are working on the grid lines of the very central section here, and we will go up and over the arch, and then we will go up and over it again. We'll follow that line round with a simple back stitch. So your needle is sharp, so be careful, but it will get easily through this fabric. And so we're just following the lines of that grid, and then we're going to just repeat all of those lines until we've filled up that central section. So I've started on the blue here, and the same principle really. So the grid lines will change for each colour. They're slightly different, so you need to follow the grid lines for the colour, the section that you're filling in. And just carry on repeating those rounds of stitching. So you'll generally be doing an even amount of stitches around the archways as you go, but at the end where you're reaching the end of the colour block, you might need to do some fill stitches just on certain bits to make sure you've filled in that section nicely. So you might not have even stitches all the way around. So I'm just doing that here on the red as well. So don't worry if it's not completely even, the fabric will kind of warp and move as you stitch. But at the end of each colour block, just go round and fill in with some extra stitches wherever you need to kind of meet the end of the printed line. We don't want to see any of that printed line at the end of the stitching, because that will show through. So now we've finished our stitching, we're going to pin the two sides together. So the first thing you want to do is get your tape. You need to cut your tape into two, because you'll need one bit for each. Fold it in half and then lay it on top of the rainbow with the open sides facing the top. So the amount of tape that you leave from the top of the rainbow into the middle is how big the loop's going to be. I've probably made mine a little bit big on this one, so you could make yours a little bit smaller. And you pin it to the backing so that it just stays in place while you stitch it. And then we're going to pin the two sides together. So the right side of the rainbow needs to be facing inwards. It doesn't matter what way you put the backing fabric on, because it's the same on both sides. So we're going to pin that together all the way round. So now you've pinned the edges, we're going to sew around and seal the rainbow up. We're just sewing around the rainbow. We're not going to leave the bottom open so we can put our stuffing in. And we're using the cream thread that's included in your box, and I would use 2 strands to stitch. I have done this in a different colour just so you can see. And we're using a split back stitch because that's going to give us a lovely sealed finish to the edge of the little ornament, so that your stuffing doesn't come through and there's no kind of gaping gaps where the stitch is. So do that split back stitch and keep the stitches as small as you can. You're using the edge of the rainbow as your guide here, so just go all the way around the edge of the rainbow. Leave that bottom bit open. So once you've done that, you can see in my stitches there in a different colour, we're going to cut all the way around, so you want to leave about 1 centimetre just to make it neater and easier to turn back round. So now we're going to turn it back to the right way round. Can be a little bit fiddly, but push it through and you'll see your tape in that nice little loop ready for your cord to go through. So push it all out nicely, push those seams out, and then fold those 2 long edges in. You could probably cut your threads off, I've not done that very neatly. Fold your edges in, and we're going to be ready for the stuffing. So take half of the stuffing and push it inside your ornament, And then we're going to sew up this edge. So again, using the same thread, mine's a different colour here, so don't worry. Use 2 strands, and this is called a whip stitch. So we are holding the 2 edges together, pushing the needle through both of the edges and pulling it round again. So this is a whip stitch. It's much easier to show you than describe it, but you're just sandwiching and securing those bits together. So once we've sewn all the way along, we're just going to secure it at the end with 2 little knots. So you'll see those stitches were knotted rather than just normal stitches. Then trim the thread off at the end, and you're nearly done. So all you need to do now is get one of the pieces of cord and thread that through and make your little hanger. So tie a knot in the end and then trim it off so it looks neat. I love this project. I hope you enjoy it.